What you're seeing is the John B. Connolly unit in Texas, and right now it's December 13th, 2000. This is no ordinary prison. It is a maximum security prison, which is the hardest one to escape. Between all the prisoners in this facility, there are 7 of them that are more dangerous than the other ones, and these 7 people are planning a way to escape this maximum security prison. Before everything, let's get to know these 7 prisoners. The leader of them all is the most dangerous one, named George Rivas. George Rivas went to prison for killing, kidnapping, and stealing a person, and he got 270 years. And that means he's never gonna be released. Another person is this guy, Joseph Garcia. He killed a woman on the streets, and he got life in prison. The next person is Randy Halpern, and he got thrown in prison for beating up a child. And because of this, he got 30 years in the hole. Up next, we got Larry Harper. He's in prison because of rape, and he got 50 years because of it. In the US, if you actually get in a fight and beat someone bad, they could press charges and throw you away for a very long time. And that is why you don't really see a lot of fights happen because of that. And this is exactly why you see a lot more of talking smack rather than actually fighting. The next prisoner is in here because of that. His name is Patrick Murphy, and he beat someone so bad that he got 50 years in the hole. The next prisoner is Donald Newberry. This man entered the bank with a weapon and tried to rob them, but he got caught and he got 30 years in prison. The last person in prison is this guy, Michael Rodriguez. This man hired a hitman to kill his wife, but he was later on caught before actually taking action, and that is why they gave him 99 years in prison. These 7 prisoners have been inside this place for years, and they're deciding to escape, and day and night you could see them planning this out. Nobody really knows how long these guys had been planning this for, but it was for sure in the years, because they had a lot of chemistry, especially in terms of working together. And when is the time to escape? December 13th, 2000. Let's go inside this prison and see what is happening. The time is 11 a.m. and 5 people of the 7 we mentioned are cleaning the floor of the library. 11 a.m. is lunchtime for this prison. So when it actually rings, the guards tell these 5 prisoners take a break and go for lunch. But the prisoners tell the guard that we are almost finished. Let us finish this area and then we'll go get food. 2 guards stay and the rest of them leave. Rivas tells one of the guards to open the compartment so I can get some cleaning supplies. The guard goes ahead and does it. All of a sudden, all 5 prisoners attack the guards, tie their hands up with rope, and close their mouth shut. Then they take their clothes off and wear the guards' clothes. Since now they had the master lock to go everywhere, they went inside the locker room of the guards and got more guard clothes for the other prisoners. The other guards are all at lunch, so they don't know what has happened. These guys go into the locker room and the tool room and grab some tools. Tools that are great for cutting metal, like saw and lock cutters. If any other prisoner entered the facility, they would also knock them out and tie them up to put them next to the guards, so they don't know what is happening either. The clothes these guys wore from the guards are the ones that are not high level, so they need a lot of clearance and authorization to actually exit the place, and it's not just one door. And that is why it's clear that these 7 guys were working together for a few years before they executed the plan. They knew what is exactly happening day and night inside this prison. 2 of these guys go up front and tell the guard that we want to install some cameras outside. Since 2 guards want to go outside, the control room asks around to see if we actually need to send guards out there for some cameras. And since they actually had some scheduled, they tell them to go outside because this needs to happen. When all this is happening, Randy Halpern, that was inside the prison, decides to go to the control tower of the prison because he knew in that area there's a whole lot of guns. He goes up there and knocks the 1 guard out, and he has a lot of weapons in his hands, and he chooses 3 of them: a 12-gauge shotgun, a Smith & Wesson Magnum, and an AR-15. So after these 3 guns, these 7 prisoners are much more dangerous. So you have 2 guys outside installing cameras, one in the control tower, and the person in the control tower has access to the power door up front. There's also a truck inside the prison, and the 4 remaining guys know exactly where the key is and how they can drive it out of there. They start the truck and start heading towards the gate. The guy in the control tower opens the gate and heads downstairs. He jumps in the truck with 3 guns, and the 2 people that are outside jump in the truck as well. It was so well executed that the prison guards didn't even realize that 7 prisoners had escaped. If you do something by planning it, this is what happens. And these guys were planning this for years on end, and it was finally paying off. But people do the opposite sometimes. They don't plan and they try to execute it, but it takes them years to execute. They immediately tell all the police stations around the area that there's 7 prisoners on the loose and they are well armed. Be extremely careful. These 7 prisoners have a truck, they have guns, but they lack one thing, and that is money. So they do what they do best. They decide to rob a place. They enter a Radio Shack. And not only do they rob the store, they also rob all the customers that are in there. They also take some police-rated walkie-talkies so they can listen to the radio and see where the police are headed. They throw the truck they stole from the prison somewhere and they steal another truck so they will be harder to find. Then after, they head towards Dallas. As you can see, Texas has a whole lot of border with Mexico, and when prisoners usually escape, they go towards Mexico to escape. These prisoners know that going to Mexico is very difficult and hot, so they decide to turn north rather than south, and they went towards Dallas. It takes them 11 days to get all the way to Dallas. You might say, what do you mean? They could have just gone on the highway and it would take a few hours. But that was too easy for them, and the police were watching them. So they took the back roads all the way to Dallas. The back roads don't have a lot of police waiting for them, so they could escape them by this way. And that is why they travel for 11 days and run out of money. Then they enter a supermarket to steal the store again. But outside, someone is watching them, and then they realize that 7 men entered the supermarket with weapons. So they immediately call the police and tell them there's a group of men robbing the superstore near me. There was an officer by the name of Aubrey Hawkins that was very close to the supermarket, so he immediately got there in under 3 minutes. But he didn't know who he was gonna confront. He was expecting some kid robbing the superstore for some money. So as soon as he confronted those 7 guys, they immediately fired at him and shot him 11 times, of course, killing him on the spot. The entire state of Texas was devastated when they heard Officer Aubrey Hawkins was killed by these prisoners because he had a son, and it was one day before Christmas. When they finally leave the supermarket, they decide to steal another car because their vehicle had been spotted. After this takes place, with the money they have, they go buy some clothes, and on Christmas Day, they decide to go to church. But they didn't decide to go to church to rob the place. They went there because they were religious and they were Christians, so they wanted to spend Christmas Day in the church. But one woman inside the church has seen these guys in the news for a few days now, so she immediately recognizes them especially when 7 of them are together. And all 7 prisoners are inside the church together without their family, so it's very obvious. The police tell the lady, don't do anything, just try to leave as quiet as possible. Since the police officers knew that these guys are very sketchy, they didn't go like Officer Hawken. They went there undercover. They also don't enter the church. They stay far away until they all get out and leave. They finally get out and enter their car. The police don't do anything yet because they know these guys are dangerous and well armed, but they chase them. After the church, they enter a supermarket parking lot that was ginormous, and they just park, and the police are watching them from afar. Three of them get out of the car and go towards a Jeep that was inside the parking lot. They quickly break into the Jeep, start it and steal it and drive away. They had decided to stay away from the police, they should all break up. So that is why the 3 prisoners went with the Jeep. So the police immediately say that follow this Jeep and pull them over when it's safe. Since these 3 prisoners didn't have any guns with them, they were easily pulled over and arrested. But you still have 4 more people inside the van. Then 2 more prisoners get out and start heading towards the nearby park, and the remaining 2 start the van again and drive out of the parking lot. Obviously, a certain group of police chase the people inside the park, and the ones start following the van. The police that went inside the park very easily arrested the 2 that went in there, but one of them had this Smith & Wesson revolver. So as soon as he saw the police, he pulled it out and committed suicide, and only 1 is arrested. The 2 that ran away with the van, they lose the police inside the city and basically get hidden, and they go inside the motel to hide out. It has been 23 days since these 2 are hidden away, and then they eventually call the police with a payphone. They said, we'll turn ourselves in case you let us interview with the news. The police allow them, and they actually kept their promise when they arrest them. When they sat in front of the news networks, they only complained about the system of the US and how people get arrested. They said the people that put these systems in place are a bigger criminal than us. George Rivas said, I got arrested for $68 and they gave me 99 years. But he had entered the bank with a gun, and we don't know how much he was trying to steal. But he puts a price of $68 on it. You have to know that in most states of the US, there is no execution, but there are some, and Texas is one of them. And that is why, after what took place with Officer Hawkins, they gave all 7 prisoners execution, and one of them had committed suicide already. And in Texas, the only execution method is lethal injection, where they put a type of poison inside the syringe and inject you with it, and in under 5 minutes the person dies. They planned this for years on end to die sooner. If they stayed in prison, they would have at least been alive. What do you guys think?